Hello and welcome, Internet travelers, to another episode of Building with Buchanan. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make vinyl stickers using a vinyl sign cutter. I'm using a Summa D60 cutter, and I will be using the program called Inkscape to transform the image into a series of lines, and then I'm going to be using Summa WinPlot to plot those lines to the cutter so that I can get a sticker shape like this coming out of it. So I'm going to do something simple to begin with. I'm going to find just a nice little face of Darth Vader. So none of these pictures are particularly simple. That's because I'm doing a Google image search and I'm just searching for all of the images. So what I'm going to do is go into Tools and change the type to clip art because I want to get a nice simple picture to show you how this works. So there's a nice simple one. Let's do that one. So I'm going to right click and hit copy image, and then I'm going to open up Inkscape. Okay, and then I'm going to paste that image in there. I'm going to zoom in by holding the control key and scrolling up, and so here we go. Now, what you might notice is that this is a very pixelated picture, so this may not work. This is a raster image, and what we need to do is convert this raster image into a vector, which is a series of discrete points and lines, which is what the vinyl sign cutter needs to actually follow in order to cut the shape out. So I'm going to be using a tool called TraceBitmap. You find that under Path. So the TraceBitmap. One setting that we can play with in here, which alters what actually happens, is playing with the threshold of the brightness cutoff. So basically what this tool does is it will take any given little pixel and say, okay, this one is close enough to black, so we're going to call this black. And this one is close enough to white, so we're going to call this white. So if I do the brightness cutoff with a threshold of 0.45, there we go. We get a second image which lays over top of the old one. So if you pick that over and slide it over, okay. Now we can see two different pictures here. So let's zoom in a little bit and see what the difference is. You see how the lines are crisp no matter where I click? That's because we've actually made a series of lines. That's what this tool, TraceBitmap, does. It traces around the old picture and it makes some lines to follow the shape. So let's hit OK, get out of that. So something that I'm kind of noticing here is that up in the top, it didn't really get all the top of the helmet. So what I might want to do is just retry that TraceBitmap. So I'm going to select this picture, hit delete, and I'm going to trace that bitmap again, and I'm going to up the threshold. So what this does is something that's a gray pixel like that one there, instead of calling it white, if I make this like 0.8, it's going to call that pixel black. So let's see how that worked. Hey, there we go. That's a nice even line all the way through. So that's a much better picture. We can exit that. We can get rid of this picture because we don't need that anymore. And here we go. We have a picture of Darth Vader. So I am going to save this file. I'm going to save it as a .svg for the first time. So let's call this Vader1 and hit save. And then in order for it to go into WinPlot, we need to save this again as a .pdf. Save that as your .pdf. The settings are fine, just hit OK for that. Okay, so now let's open up Summa WinPlot. Nice simple program. You're just going to hit open here, and it already knows where it wants to look. You might have to navigate to find the folder that you saved it in before, but I have mine right here, vader1.pdf. Let's open that up. Open, go. Would you look at that? All of the shading that happened in this color disappeared, and all we get here are those little line files that we made with the TraceBitmap function. So this is what's going to get cut out on the vinyl sign cutter. So in another video, I'll show you how to manually set up the sign cutter, how to load the vinyl media, and how all of that kind of makes sense. The one thing I want to show you in this video is if you take this image you see how there's a box around it. So when it goes to the machine, it understands that you're trying to cut out a picture that's, well, we're starting at 0. It's about a little over an inch and a half wide and about an inch and 3/4 tall or so. If there isn't room on the vinyl piece on the machine, it's just going to have an error and it won't work for you. Where you want to orient this picture on the machine, the origin point is the bottom right corner here. So this will make more sense when you see the machine and you see where the knife is situated on the machine, and once it starts cutting away, it'll just sort of cut, 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 cut. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because I have the machine all set up, I'm going to hit Output, and I'm going to be sending this to the cutter. So this is assuming that you have your vinyl material in the cutter and everything is all set up and the green light is on and ready to go. And this is basically it. You hit Send to Cutter and it basically just prints like you were printing off a normal paper printer, except you get a sticker out of it. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.